Welcome to the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. I'm your host, Robin L. Owens, PhD, and this is where we dive in each week to give advice, tools, and tips for high-achieving women leaders, and we talk about leadership purpose and its importance for you. I am a college professor, and when I am not doing that, I am speaking, writing, coaching, mentoring, and teaching high-achieving women leaders how to find, and not only find, but how to stay in alignment with their leadership purpose so they can make a meaningful difference right there in their career, leadership, or business. Okay, let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. So glad you're here. And as I've said before, and I will say again and again, I'm so glad that you take time out of your busy day, out of your busy week and schedule to listen into the podcast. Really appreciate you. And just thank you for being here today. And today I am talking with Marla Diann. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Marla. Marla is a dreamer, a mother, a breast cancer survivor, and lover of all things Italian. Her journey taught her that dignity is a conviction of your self-worth, how you treat yourself, and how you make choices in alignment with your values. Today, Marla is passionate about empowering high-achieving women creatives, entrepreneurs, and professionals to stand for their worth and dignity by transforming their money relationships. With over 30 combined years of entrepreneurship, personal growth, professional development, entertainment PR, and talent management, personal branding, and so much more, Marla Diann embodies authenticity, empowerment, and creativity. She's a speaker and a compelling storyteller who understands the heart of humanity. She is known for being an advocate and transformational coach in the area of wealth consciousness and your money relationship to upgrade your worth and dignity. Welcome, Marla Diann.
Oh, thank you. That was so dignified. You're such a good writer.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad you're here.
I am too, Robin. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's just jump right in.
Okay.
So I kind of read your introduction, your bio, but you tell us in your own words a little bit about who you are and the work you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So this year I'm celebrating 25 years as a creative entrepreneur of two businesses. Since 2008, I've been transforming lives and businesses of creative entrepreneurs as what I call an international success coach, business strategist, and transformational artist. Something I just added with my rebrand this year. And prior to the coaching is I had a really dynamic, fun, very creative entertainment PR career where I served celebrities and visual and performing artists out of Los Angeles. And I created my own entertainment PR company for 13 of the 20 years I was doing that. And I did that while I so that I could raise my son out of my home. So I've literally been working out of my home as an entrepreneur for 25 years. Long before it was popular to have a location independent business.
Yeah.
And, creativity and joy, to kind of to sum all this up, is creativity and joy are at the heart of what I do, because I serve creatives by helping them live and work, right, more often in their joy and their genius.
I love that. How'd you come to do this work? It sounds like creativity is big in your life and in your work. How'd you come to do this work?
Yeah, the coaching itself.
And all of it, yes.
Yeah, following my joy.
So tell us about that. Tell us about your journey of following your joy.
Following my joy and following my genius, which is writing. Writing is one of my first artistries. I love visual arts. I love photography. painting. I mean, anything that's really a visual art, filmmaking, you name it. But photography tends to be a real special one for me. So, I was born into a creative family. It's part of my DNA, right? And so I just continued throughout my years, and I call that enlightened reinvention, is I constantly listened to my intuition. Sometimes I didn't know that's what I was doing, but now I know better. That's what I was doing. Is I just followed what felt right, what had the vibe to it, the joy to it, something that lit me up, right? And so, my PR career actually happened. The beginning of it happened in the green room of a television station I was working at right out of college. Seriously, yeah. It was one day, and I was 2 years outside of college, right? And I was not doing my PR. I was not doing what I went to college for, because I didn't have confidence to get paid to write. Right, to do what you do in PR and so forth. So yes, I was at a TV station doing kind of production job, and I went to the green room on a break, right, to go just talk to whoever was in there. And it just happened to be that this gal who was a publicist for Warner Brothers, and this is way back, I was like 25 years old, and she was similar to my age, and there was a guest. Her friend was going to be a guest, and I just started chatting, like, who are you, and what do you do, and I work here and all that. And she says, well, I'm a publicist for Warner Brothers. And I said, oh, good. What's that? I was like so naive. I'm like, what's a publicist? And remember, I have a degree in PR journalism that was all about nonprofit PR and corporate PR. Had no clue there was entertainment PR, right? So as she's explaining to me what she does, the whole light bulb went on. I said, okay, so hold on a minute. You're writing press releases and doing press junkets and writing PSAs and getting your films in the media. I said, how would somebody go about doing that? And therein lies the beginning of my 20-some-odd year career, and I followed my joy. I went, wow, this sounds amazing. And I ended up taking certain steps to get there and get my very first job in an entertainment PR agency. So that was me following the joy. And then 20-year mark, my joy wasn't there anymore, right? It was like, okay, that was a good run. I wanted something more meaningful. It was like done with pitching to the media, done with that whole thing. And at the same time, everything else was changing around us. It was 2006, 2007. And what was going on then? Everything was innovating to online, and my industry, PR, was turning into this thing called social media, right? Social media was becoming the new PR, and I'm like, what is that? And how do you take a press release and put it online, right? How do you, all these things online? And so I knew I needed to reinvent me. And I searched for about a year, and I kept, again, staying connected to my intuition, staying connected to what lights me up, what really kind of like the joy. And long story short is ended up finding a woman spiritual business coach, and she opened up the door for me and brought in a guest speaker who I was listening to, and everything started to fall into place. And I said, you mean I can combine all my years of what I do with personal branding and writing and marketing and entrepreneurship and, inspiration and motivation into a business? And she said, yeah, you can turn your expertise into a product, right? Which is, speaking and teaching and right, all that you know very well about.
Yes.
And I went, okay. And coaching wasn't new to me, but it never occurred for me to be a coach.
Oh.
And I've been going to Tony Robbins seminars and all sorts of, motivational things for years. And here's why. And this is kind of what brings us all to a fruition, if you will, on me starting my coaching business. I was not comfortable, believe it or not, and it makes sense. I was not comfortable initially thinking of myself as a coach in the spotlight. It was not comfortable at all for me, because think about it. As a publicist, what are you doing? behind the scenes, you're putting your clients in the spotlight, not you. And that was super fitting for me, who I was then. I was the best cheerleader. I would never put myself in the spotlight. And so that then became the name of my business. My first iteration of my coaching business was Embrace Your Spotlight. And then I taught personal branding, especially for women entrepreneurs who had the same challenge I did, and how to build an online business and build that, that community that then you monetized into clients. So there's the answer to I followed my joy.
I love that. I love that, how you did follow your joy and you asked the right questions at the right time. You were resourceful to figure out, well, how can I get on this path? And as time changed and social media came along, you just changed right along with it.
That's right.
Really an inspiring story of your journey.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, very inspiring. And it's clear that you enjoy your work. I mean, by the way you talk about it, we can hear your passion. So tell us what really lights you up the most, what you enjoy the most and it lights you up. And then tell us why.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I mean, it's, what I enjoy the most. I better be doing that, or what am I doing? And that, by the way, is, it's my theme. And on a side note, it's a new podcast. I'm finally going to do my own podcast after a couple of years. Yeah. And it's called Follow Your Joy. So, what do I enjoy the most about my work? Helping my clients create something from nothing, the creative process, right? An idea, and then seeing it through, right, to a fulfilling and a profitable result. So whether it's what I call an emerging entrepreneur or an established entrepreneur ready for that next level, it's all about the creation and the creativity to see what is not visible yet.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Love that. And also the constant craving to live daily, right, in creativity and joy. I mean, it's high vibe living, right?
Yes.
High vibe living, and protecting that joy and that energy and vibe by sticking to my boundaries and learning new boundaries to protect that joy. Because life, we all know, it's not an easy ride. It's just not. And if we can have metrics to follow that say, when I'm doing this, that's success to me. And in my case, when I follow my joy, that's my success metric.
Yeah.
Right? And if I'm not following my joy, then what am I following?
Yes.
And that's what I coach my clients along the way through. And you mentioned the money relationship and how I help them transform that, because it's typically riddled with mistruths and judgment around money, which is no fault of anybody's. It's just you have adopted beliefs that were not true about money.
Yeah.
And so everything is really about that. It's the creativity and the joy and everything that goes with that, changing habits and behaviors and mindset, right? And looking at your vision and how you can manifest your vision. Everything kind of leads back up to that.
Yes. Yes. Which I kind of could guess, well, maybe not, but given all of that, right? You've had such a wealth of experience, expertise that you developed over the years through this fascinating journey. What's some word of advice you would give to the women who are listening? I mean, there's some men too, but primarily women who I call high achieving, ambitious professionals, leaders, whether they're in official or unofficial leadership roles or not. They're the ones that are the responsible ones who support everyone else. And so I invite guests like you to come on to share from your expertise and experience something for that person as they're going throughout the day. So given what I just said, what's one piece of advice you'd share?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm right there with you. It's the only type of people I coach. High achieving women and some amazing creative men.
Mm-hmm.
My high achieving women, I mean, and I know you totally get this, which is the whole purpose to your leadership purpose podcast is, it is high achievers, right? Because in my world, and then I'll go into answering the tip and the advice, in my world, high achievers make great partners in coaching. Because as a coach, when I'm qualifying people to work with me, and I mean qualify, I don't just let anybody in like anyone else shouldn't, right? In a business, right? Needs to be matched. Is that if they're not on that level, that high achieving level, they're not going to make a good partner with me. And they're certainly not going to create the result that I know is possible given the proven systems that I teach. Because it takes work.
Yeah.
It takes work.
Yeah.
Sorry. It takes work. You invest in yourself, and there's going to be additional work on top of what you do every day.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're willing, which us high achieving women, we do that. Right. Yeah. It may be a short time that we're a little crunched, right, and do extra things. But so high achieving women are beautiful partners in successful coaching results. Oh, yeah. And as well, that they're willing, this is super important, is that they're willing to be uncomfortable through the transformational process.
Yes.
Man, it is not pretty. It's just not. Right. But on the other side of that transformation, which is you got to trust the process and obviously the coaching, that the other side of that transformation is liberation. Right? It's a liberation. It's the result that you desire, the new version of who you desire to be.
Yes.
The caterpillar to butterfly effect. Okay. So, the advice then, of course, is follow your joy, because it's where intuition is the doorway. I should say your intuition is the doorway to your wisdom, your zone of genius, and your joy. Right? So by following your joy, just like the story I mentioned a little bit earlier, is that when you're listening to your intuition, and I've got a whole training on this for women, because it's not a feminine art that is, I'm not going to say accepted, but certainly not promoted a lot in our masculine society. And there's no fault of anybody's. I'm not judging anything. It's just the way things have gone. So let me expand a little bit on that.
Sure.
Yeah. And that is your joy comes from you listening and learning to listen first to your intuition, not your intellect, not your logic, not your reasoning. Okay. Your brain, your thinking, which is vital to our existence, is to follow, give a action to the intuition that you receive. So they work together, but we have the equation flipped or not even existent. It's like immediately we go to the brain, we go to the intellect. It's also how we're wired, right? Yeah. We're wired to operate from the intellect. Yeah. And we completely forget and shut off this beautiful, powerful intuition that is specific to each human being, each woman, because it's about helping her evolve. And so when we don't listen to our intuition, there's a good chance we really don't evolve to the extent we need to evolve, right? Yeah. And as you know, intuition is not always logical. It's not supposed to be. It doesn't make sense, but it just feels right. It's a vibe. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
The vibe. And that's what you look for in intuition, is you look for, in fact, a great way to do this is, let's say you're trying to make a decision on something, or there's a challenge you're in the middle of, or you just need an answer. Get very, very quiet and do two things. First, ask your logic, what's the answer to this? And then shift to putting one hand on your solar plexus, which is your stomach, and one on your heart. And breathe really deep, and then ask your heart the same question. What do I do about this challenge? And you're going to get a completely different answer as long as you get quiet enough to hear it, right? And that's the challenge therein that we all have, is we're rushing around. We're not quiet enough to listen. And so I'm encouraging all you beautiful women out there, please start to learn, if you haven't already, or deepen your intuition listening. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And it's a true gift to have that ability to just tap in something that's right there all the time, waiting for us to tap into it. So appreciate that tool and that tip. Now, as you know, my own work has to do with leadership purpose because it's the name of the podcast, right? So, but when you hear the term leadership purpose, what comes to your mind?
Yeah, leadership purpose. So I'm going to actually, I think I love storytelling like you do. And I'm going to actually tell a story that's going to give my answer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a client story that just happened this week. And it was a breakthrough for my client. And so here's how I demonstrate leadership. So my client it's a 2-year-old nonprofit about supporting women in music, right, to be hired upon their merit and their talent. Because there's a huge disparity, which I'm getting educated from her about this, huge disparity in how women are treated and paid compared to men in the music industry. I didn't know this.
No,
right?
I didn't know it either.
I know. Yeah. I love learning from her as I'm coaching her. So her day-to-day, as you can imagine, right, her day-to-day leadership of running her company, in her mind, until I took her through what I call thought leadership training, is she thought it was all about the meaning of literally managing people, right? Managing people. And she said, from that point on, everything shifted for her. And I said, you're a thought leader, which is inspiring others to think differently. Inspiring others to think differently, because a thought leader is somebody that is willing to take a risk at being judged because they're changing the consciousness of their community, of the nation, of the country, whatever it happens to be. Start small. Start small first. But you're doing that to literally innovate something, right? Yeah. So as a thought leader, you are impacting humanity by their consciousness. And it's so exhilarating to know that you had a hand in that. And that's what I took her through. And she never viewed herself as a thought leader. I said, well, what are you doing with your nonprofit about women in music? She says, I know. And she loves journalism and she's a writer herself and all that, storyteller. And it just was like the light bulb went on. So thought leadership is about inspiring people, not managing people. And she's learning also to delegate to her team to manage the people because she's the visionary of that cause. And by the way, ladies, your cause can be your business. It doesn't have to be a nonprofit. Your cause can be something in your business that you want to see change for for the good of all.
Yes, yes. Well, Marla, I mean, you have dropped so many treasures for us already and bits of wisdom. And I'm sure there's somebody listening right now wondering, how can they hear more from you or learn how to stay in touch with you beyond hearing this podcast? So what would you say to them?
Sure, of course. Yes, you can go to, and I'll tell you what you'll find there, is you can go to Marla Diann, DIANN.com, and I'm sure you'll have that in the show notes, yes. /special. And on that page, you can sign up for a 30-minute private Zoom call with me just to elaborate more about you and what we talked about today and what hit a chord for you. And then you'll also have on that page my 3 handouts. They're, downloads, easy downloads. One is your path to higher earning power. The next is my top recommended success books. And then my new one, which is 10 fun ideas to feed your creative spirit.
The idea of feeding my creative spirit already wants me to run over there and download it. All right. Thank you so much, Marla. And thank you for being here. Appreciate you taking time out and sharing your wisdom and your experience and expertise.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely a pleasure to be here with you.
Okay, everyone. And if you want to hear more about me and you want to connect with me, you can find me on my website, robinlowens.com, robinlowens.com, or you can follow me on social media, primarily LinkedIn, Robin L. Owens, PhD, Robin L. Owens, PhD. And if you want to know about your own leadership purpose, go ahead to my website and download the quiz that I have on the front page of my website at robinlowens.com. And until next time, this is Dr. Robin. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. If you enjoyed it, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Meanwhile, this is Robin signing off. See you next time.